I actually can't believe I'm saying this word right now. What the f is up, Or a simplified version is, hi, how are you doing, friends of mine? Some Aussie slang is absolutely iconic. But then there's the stuff that just makes me question if we're all just messing with each other. I swear half the time the slang feels like it's a made up joke and everyone's in on the joke except you. But you won't feel that way after today's video. So let's break down the Aussie slang that I rate and that I hate. Now, your first thought already would be, why the hell does this girl have an American accent? She's not Australian. She can't talk about Australian slang. But you would be a little bit deceived. So I was actually born in Australia, literally grew up in this house, which is crazy. Full circle moment, I'm back here now. I lived in Australia till I was 8 years old, so I kind of grew up on the slang. All of my family is Australian. And then I moved over to America where I lived there for about 15 years, and now I've been back here for 2 years. So I have the interesting perspective where I was born and raised and learned all of this Australian slang as a kid, but then lived for so long in America that now coming back, this slang either feels very foreign to me or I've known it all my life as well. That's a little bit what we'll be talking about today, is kind of that older slang, but also more of like the newer slang that I haven't really picked up on, and even as well using them in professional settings. I've seen emails with certain slang in them that I was like, there's no way. I did not know that we talk this way. Also, keep in mind, this is all totally my opinion on the slang, on whether I love it or hate it. I will still be providing examples of what the slang actually means, how you can use it in a sentence. We'll go through the whole thing. Also, feel free to disagree with me. If there's any slang that you're like, this is top tier slang, you're totally missing the point, leave a comment down below. And at the end of this video, we're gonna have a special guest who is not Australian, but he's gonna be providing some slang that he really likes. So stay to the very end for that too. First, let's start on a good note and talk about some slang that I rate. Rate is actually also an Australian slang term, and it means that you really love something if you rate it. So you could be like, I really rate ice cream. I rate ice cream so highly. You can also say it about people too. You'd be like, oh my God, James, I so rate him. He is amazing. He's such a good tennis player. If you know James, you know who I'm talking about. Also, some other slang that kind of fits into this category as well would be froth. And that is a new one that I learned. It wasn't really a word that I knew growing up, but when I came back to Australia, I remember my cousin asking me, oh my God, you must froth Tim Tams. Like, I feel like you're always eating a Tim Tam every time I see you. And I'm like, froth? What do you mean? Like, it's a biscuit. How are you supposed to froth a biscuit? What do you mean? And she had to explain to me that froth actually means that you really, really love something. The whole part of frothing something is that you love it so much that you're frothing at the mouth. You're just like, oh my God, I want this thing so bad because I'm just so obsessed with it. So I just love that one too, because it's like, wow, you are so passionate. You love this thing so much that, yeah, literally foam is coming out in your mouth and you look like you're a dog that just has rabies or something. Now, this Australian slang, I was shocked because this is one that actually pops up in corporate. So I have a corporate 9-to-5 job. When I saw my first email with this, I was like, damn, Australians are so casual. But then I talked to my manager and he's like, oh no, like people use this all the time in like professional settings. Also, just in general, like business in Australia is more casual than it would be in America, for example. But this word is keen. Keen, if you would use it in a sentence, would be like, I'm really keen to chat about this discussion with you further in person. Using the Tim Tam example again, be like, oh my God, I'm so keen for some Tim Tams, or like, I'm so keen to go to the beach and relax. That word I really like as well, because I think it just also shows like how much you want something and how much you're like so interested in this thing. So for that, keen, I love it. I rate it. It's in my good books. Another slang I rate would be the word feral. This could kind of be used in like a party sense, but if someone was like, oh my God, they were going feral last night at the pre-drinks. Oh my God, at the club I was feral. It's kind of like gross, but also wild behavior. Like, you're just 10 drinks down, you're dancing on the tables, you're having a great time, but you're also just like a little bit gross at the same time. Like maybe you have like a little bit of puke on your shirt, maybe like your makeup's all like dripping down and stuff. Like you're just feral, like you're a wild cat running around. So I really love that word just because of the idea and the picture that comes into my brain when I think of the word feral. I also think of Will Ferrell, which is a little bit weird, and I don't know, but yeah. One of my favorite words that a lot of Australians love and know would be the word c***. There's so many ways that you could use this word in an endearing way, but also in a very negative way when you don't like someone, being like, oh my God, that girl was like, c***. Oh my God. I'm also gonna have to bleep out all of this when I say it because, yeah, my channel is PG-13, but this is iconic Australian word. I think people throw it around like it's nothing. In America, I remember hearing one girl use that word and I was like, whoa, that is like so bad that you would call somebody that. Like, wow, that is, you must be so mad. Where here, it's like my aunt will call me that word too. You know what I mean? Like as a joke, be like, oh my God, Ellie being such a I actually can't believe I'm saying this word right now. It feels so dirty to say, but in Australia it's just like so normal. You know, you wouldn't use it in a professional setting, but it is like thrown around a lot. So I do really love the word. It also just has like a hard meaning to it. Like it ends in a T, so it's just very like harsh. It's kind of like the F word in that way too, where you're just like, and it like means a lot. So for that, I rate the word. Now this is to have a yarn. But obviously my American accent makes it sound a little bit weird, so it would be to have a yawn. What yawn means is that it's people who are, you know, like having a really good chat. Like, oh my God, look at that couple over there. They're having a really good yawn. It sounds funny when I say it in an Australian accent, but I just have to say it in an Australian accent. If this word was said in an American accent, I would hate it. But the fact that it is said in an Australian accent, I rate it. You know, another thing would be like, oh my God, do you want to go grab a coffee? We'll have a yawn. Like, I really, really like the word for that because it's just kind of funny and random. I think if you saw it in a sentence, you'd be like, what, are they crocheting together? Are they knitting together? They're gonna make some sweater vests or something? What's up with that? I like it because it's so Australian as well. Like it just very gives Australian vibes, if that's even a description word. How you say it in an Australian accent just makes it really fun. Like yarn, gonna go have a yarn. Another word that I really rate would be the word dusty. Dusty is when you're kind of gross, really hungover, and maybe you had a wild night. This would be like the day after. So it'd be like, oh my God, I'm so dusty from the weekend. I was so gross. I took too many shots. I'm just feeling so dusty. I would say when you're hungover or when you're like after a party, it's not that you feel dusty, you just feel gross and grimy. So it's like, you don't really feel dusty, but I like that dusty is the word used for it, if that makes sense. I don't know, I think it's just kind of fun. I don't think I'm explaining myself really well, but I love the word dusty. Another one of my favorite words would be the word hectic. Hectic is so fun because you can use it in so many different settings as well. So this would be like, oh my God, my day is so hectic. Oh my God, my emails are so hectic. Oh my God, my DMs are so hectic. It pretty much means like when everything's like super busy or cluttered or chaotic. Yeah, like I said, you can use it in so many different examples. So for that, I highly, highly rate the word hectic. So the last ones are kind of an accumulation of some slang words that I'm putting into one category, but it's when Australians shorten a word and add like an O on the end. So for examples, afternoon could be like arvo, but you would say it like avo. And then also you've got avo, which is short for avocado, which should not be confused with arvo. So it's like arvo and avo, but if you say it in an Australian accent, it would be avo and avo. You see what I'm getting at? Also, what you can throw into this category would be pavo. If someone's really broke or maybe they spent too much money, you could say, oh my God, I can't even go to McDonald's. I'm literally so pavo. It's pretty much saying that you're in poverty because you cannot afford something. So pretty much every Australian thing where you just shorten everything, add an O on the end, just call it Australian slang. Now, some slang that I haven't made my mind up yet would be the word hoon. Now, hoon, it means a reckless driver. I made a video last week about differences between cars in Australia and the US, and I remember talking about the word hoon, but I literally saw the word on the news. That was how I discovered the word first, which is a little bit odd. There was this reckless driver that was driving around in the suburbs of Sydney or something like that. The title for the news line was something like, reckless hoon driving around Sydney. And I was like, what the hell is a hoon? Is it like a hooligan or something? Or someone who's just like crazy? Also, there is our special guest. You'll see him later. So yeah, pretty much just means that you're a reckless driver and you're driving crazy. But from what I know though, it's only used with a driving perspective. Now let's talk about some slang that I hate. We talked about all the ones that I rate, but yeah, time for the ones that I hate. Also, if you're at this point in the video, this would be a great time to subscribe. It helps me make more videos like this. I'd be so keen if you subscribed. Budgie smugglers. Budgie smugglers are like really small Speedos that guys wear. They are iconic, don't get me wrong, but just when I think of budgie smugglers, like when it was explained to me first, this one I learned as well when I was a kid, because I was like, what the hell is a budgie smuggler? And my mom was like, think about it. You're smuggling a budgie, because I knew what a budgie was. I actually had 2 budgies. I knew what a budgie was already, and when my mom was like, they're smuggling a budgie, I'm like, but where? And my mom was like, think about it. So little 8-year-old me was a little bit shocked about what a budgie smuggler actually was, and I definitely want to erase that from my memory, but I cannot. It is locked in there. Another slang that I hate is the word thongs. Now, I actually asked some people in my work being like, okay, what are some other words that you really hate of Australian slang? Because I was having trouble coming up with some. And multiple people said thongs. I think this as well, coming from America, is that thongs are underwear. So of course, thongs just feel a little bit dirty to say when you're putting them on your feet. You know what I mean? Thongs in Australia mean that there are flip-flops. Like they're just these like sandals that you put on your feet, right? But like, why do we have to call them thongs? Just call them flip-flops. That's the sound they make when you walk with them, flip-flop. There's another word called munted. Now, I don't know if this is like vulgar and not safe for work. What does munted mean? Munted meaning broken or ruined. It gained currency after the Canterbury earthquakes of 2010 and 2011. Oh, is this a New Zealand word? Maybe that's a Kiwi word that just got passed on to Australia. Interesting. Okay. Let me know down in the comments if you think this is an Australian word or not. But why I dislike it is because I think it just sounds dirty to me. Like if something's munted, I'm like, ew, I don't know. It just sounds, maybe it's too close to the C word that all Australians love. So maybe that's why I don't like it. But it's funny because I do like the C word. Another thing that a lot of people, when they first come to Australia, get a little bit stumped on, but instead of saying, hey, how are you doing? They say, hey, how are you going? I don't know what it is. A lot of foreigners at my work have also said it's a little bit weird that people say, how are you going? And we all just kind of assume it's, how are you doing? It doesn't make sense. And even I found that I'm started saying it now too. It's just like, hey, how are you going? Going where? I don't know. Where are we going? That's why for that, I'd say like, I don't hate it, but I would say it's something that I'm just like, why do we even say that? It makes no sense. I don't know why I put this on my list that I hate. I put the word snag, which is short for sausage. Actually, I don't know. I feel like I haven't made my mind up for that one because obviously I love a good hot dog. I'm always keen for a bunning snag. But yeah, I don't know why that's on my hate list because I feel like it could go either way for me. Special guest, can you please come over here?
It's really hot right now.
It's 31 degrees. I don't know why I'm wearing a jumper, but I would like you to pick a New Zealand slang word to share with the audience.
Probably one of my favorite is gander. So like if you want to like show something to someone, you go like, come have a gander at this.
I think that's a word already.
Is it?
I think it's
Look
a word
it up.
already. Here, hold my mic. A look or glance. Take a gander at the luggage, will ya? It's also a male gaze.
New Zealand slang, scody.
I have never heard of that in my life.
You've never heard of scody?
No.
Picture someone who's really, really gross. You'd call them scody.
Ew. Ew.
And then there's the obvious chur. So you'd be like, chur girl.
See, I was looking it up and it said thank you. Chur means thank you.
It's like pretty, you can use it as like someone does something for you and you're like, chir.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for participating. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for joining me on this little journey of Australian slang. I love you guys so much. Much love, and I will see you in the next video.